Hello everyone, Nicole here. Happy Wellness Wednesday. So today I am making, re-upping on my green sauce. Now, I don't want to give too much away, but I have this delicious recipe that I use as a base for some of my recipes. Now, what I love about this green sauce is that it's something that I've come to appreciate and do on my own, but I've seen other chefs call it something different, add stuff to it, call it a chimichurri sauce or what have you. For me, it's just green sauce. And I love it because it allows me to use cilantro, parsley, olive oil, garlic, a little bit of salt, and have it at the ready for lots of dishes like soups. I can use it as finishings on any type of savory dish that I'm creating. And so I usually am able to keep it fresh in a jar in the fridge for months, meaning the salt and the olive oil cover it enough, it's mixed well enough that it doesn't go bad. And usually something that I do throughout that process is as it's getting lower, I add more olive oil to it over time so that, again, keep it in the fridge, its shelf life is preserved, and it's something that I love and enjoy. Now, I do use a food processor for it. I'm not gonna have it going while you guys are on the camera because I don't want you to hear it, but it's one of the quickest dishes to make, and if anything, what takes the most time is really going to the store and getting the items, and that's why I love the food processor. And I do keep my stems even though I will chop them up because I don't like to waste anything. And the more I learn about plants and herbs, the more I appreciate that every part has benefits in it. So again, if you think about the health benefits of cilantro and parsley, stabilized through oil, preserved through a little bit of salt. I'm just using plain old kosher salt. And some garlic, which is a wonderful anti-inflammatory. You can see why I love this dish. Again, I'm sure you can put it on bread. I did say I'm going to put some bread to the side. Today, part of the reason why I have not been filming is that I've had so many errands to run because as the weather changes, I don't really feel like going outside if I don't have to. So today I hit the road, did some errands. Yesterday I was out in the streets. So I have a lot of what I need to make some of the stuff that I love, so it should be a good time. Now, I've heard a lot of people say they don't like parsley. So again, this is part of the reasons why I just cook what I love at home and don't really talk too much to people about what they like and what they don't like. Because I tend to love green leafy herbs. So like the smell of it really excites me. And look at how vibrant it is. So such a powerhouse to have at the ready. So I'm going to pause while I blend and then come back. Okay, I've finished chopping up my greens, so I'm going to show you what they look like. And again, I wish you could smell it, but look at how beautiful that is. So now that those are chopped down, I have a few little pieces that I'm still going to add to it. I'm going to go ahead and add 3 garlic cloves. And yes, I am taking their casings off of them. I've seen all sorts of tricks of how to get the garlic out of its skin. To each their own. Sometimes I try to be fancy, sometimes I don't, but I am pressing it down a little bit. And for the most part, some of it does come off, some of the shelling does come off. And I just chop off the burnt ends. And again, since this is food processor, I just drop them in there. I'm gonna pause again. Now, at this part, I am gonna just go back in and kind of mix it together before I add the salt and the oil, because I can technically just take this mixture, put it in. Actually, no, I'll actually add the salt in here. Just a little bit. I don't add peppers, but I've seen some people add pepper. I like to add pepper when I'm cooking, but keep it out of my prepped items. Go ahead and give it another spin. All right, so the food processor has given us a nice even spin. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove the blade, and remember, safety first. Be careful in your kitchen if you do follow this recipe. I'm just gonna gather my little mixture to one side so that I can put it in my pre-cleaned mason jar. So again, glass. I really love cooking with and using glass in the kitchen. Another trick that I'll share with you that my big cousin, who is a restaurant owner, a successful restaurant owner actually, a tip that she showed me was, after I take all the casings off of my garlic, put my little cloves in here with some water, keep it in the fridge. It has made my cooking prep time go down significantly, and so I love it. I used out my previous jar of garlic, so I have this on my kitchen island to actually do more of. And I've spent a lot of time recently just researching, and so again, that's honestly another reason why I haven't been recording like I thought I would, is because I've been getting inspired with different recipes, looking at stuff to try. I think what I've spent so much time thinking about, like, how to make my life easier and make it so that I don't always feel so stressed about what I have on hand, how healthy is it, right? Just the feeling of wanting to still enjoy snacks and enjoy life, but not feeling so stifled by what I can eat, especially as I try to cut out processed foods, processed desserts, and refined sugars, right? So I use all different types. I've had experience using all different types of sweeteners, including date sugar, coconut sugar. I showed you the monk fruit sweetener that I've used. I still have brown sugar and, plain white sugar, because at some point, again, just with anything, if you get too obsessed with it, you drive yourself crazy. There's molasses, there's maple syrup, there's honey, and it's the holiday seasons, right? Like, I want delicious stuff, but I'm also mindful that I am in a size 29 size 8 jean. I've had these jeans for at least 5 years, and this is the first time that I've comfortably been in them, meaning my stomach doesn't hurt, I'm not squeezed into them, I can bend down in them without splitting them. And I thought it was interesting that in my jean pocket I found a rose quartz crystal. So again, I haven't worn these jeans in 5 years, and even when I bought them, I think it was a stretch of the imagination that they would fit. So I don't do anything to fit into clothes, meaning I just try to give my body good things, try to take good care of myself, feed myself good things, but also enjoy life. So again, you'll see I'm just having a field day with my olive oil. And don't try this at home because I've been doing this for a little while. So if you feel compelled to measure things out, by all means, please do that. This will thicken up a little bit as the ingredients have a chance to settle in with one another. And that's why I love it, is because it gets better with time. So I just, you know, stir it up, add some more olive oil, and then eventually clean the top so that I don't invite bacteria in by having food that's not mixed just sitting there. So I think this is a good place to be with the consistency. So I'm just going to go ahead and scrape off the top of that. But yeah, like I was saying, with consistency and dedication, more mindfulness in my actions and what I eat, like I said, I'm not a saint by any stretch of the imagination, but I do try to eat whole foods as much as possible. Like I said, you can't always predict the future. You're not always going to be in a place where you can control every aspect of your environment, right? Especially when it's the holidays, you're going to visit with friends and family. The best you can do is moderate yourself, right? To say no thank you, or stay away from, you know, the things that you know you could be tempted by. So for me, again, that's making sure that I have everything that I love and need at home and ready to go. So I just stick this in the fridge where there's some space. Have lots of veggies in there. And then, because again, part of this whole prep business is that it winds up making a mess, right? So now I have to clean up behind myself. So I'm gonna go ahead and just put this in the sink. And while I have you all here, I'm just gonna go ahead and do my little garlic. I'm gonna put my food processor back. And do I need this? Yeah, I do. Okay. I really love being at home, by the way. Which is why I think it's so important, just as a woman, to have had time to cultivate my interests, travel the world, live some life, right? Because I feel no desire to be out in them streets. This is just my little compost bag. I keep my food scraps in the freezer until it's compost or trash day. Alright, I have a garlic, and I will use that purified water from the fridge. I have so many mason jars and little containers. Even, like, I'll show you. Yellow dock is an herb that I'm working with currently. It's a blood purifier, and it's full of iron. It is pungent, and it is not necessarily like the tastiest thing, but I feel so good taking it. I'll be using it for the next week, just because, like I said, with some of the stuff that I've noticed in some of my diet changes, my lifestyle changes, there were ways in which I needed to like just replenish and support my body through those changes. But the way that I was working and going previously didn't really allow for me to finish some of the things that I had intended to do. So oftentimes I would just buy herbs in bulk. They would just sit there without being used. I have a few different herb books, but this is like the first year consistently that I've worked with herbs for myself. And I love it, you know. I had been using them in just my womb care rituals, right? But outside of like the teas, some tinctures that I would get. So like, for instance, I have ashwagandha powder, but I also have this ashwagandha whole plant that relieves stress. I have found that this tincture, it's incredible because like you feel the effects almost immediately. I also have my super echinacea, so it's important for this time of year. Yeast buster, like I talked to you all about. Most people don't realize that a lot of the refined sugars that we eat, whether it's in soda pop, candies, cakes, even some of those like starchy potato treats, you add that to your gut, and yeast goes and just has a field day with it. So sometimes you'll feel the effects of like bloat, and just for women, it can absolutely positively affect your vaginal health, in addition to just your overall gym hygiene, meaning being in your workout gear that's not breathable for long periods of time. Like I said, when I'm in the house, I'm usually in a dress. This is my first time wearing jeans. And like I said, these jeans in a while, because I vowed to myself that I wasn't going to wear as many pants. Because I miss being able to wear dresses. Like I just miss draping up and going. If I could wear muumuus, I would, but I know that it's not always climate appropriate where I live to be in a muumuu. So sometimes pants it is. So yeah, anyway, just some of the research that I've been doing just over the years, especially from when I was looking at fabric contents and thinking about leisure wear and active wear. I don't talk too much about some of the contract positions I've had, but one in particular was with a global athletic company that does menswear, children's wear, and women's wear, athletic wear. And I was working in their fabric library. And as most women know, some of those black yoga pants, when you bend down, they can be see-through. So we've had to document by the fabric weight how much you can see through, like what the percentage of light that was getting through the pants. And again, there's so much that goes into the science of fabric that, like, even with that, just like I said, the composition of it, what percentage of this gives it that much give. These jeans in particular are cotton and spandex, which they've always been a curvy girl's dream, right? I can tell you that I know definitively how the jean quality by most manufacturers have changed over the years, and I don't like it. So there's no one brand or two brands that I would even recommend. So for instance, the jeans that I currently have on right now, they're good American and they fit me nice. I also have a pair of their black jeans that I really like. But I've done everything from Old Navy, Gap, Levi's, of course. Lucky brand used to have some really good jeans. But right now, like I said, I got some nondescript pair from Amazon that I just looked at the fabric contents to make sure that it gave me the makeup that I wanted. I try my best to stay away from as much synthetic fabrics as possible. It's not always possible because, again, depending on the price point that you're shopping at, I think you should, again, just kind of get the best at whatever market you're at. I've had cashmere sweaters, wool. I think this one is definitely like a blend. I think it's like an acrylic wool blend. But again, just something that I was shopping at when I had my last full-time job. I just needed some business casual attire, so I didn't want to spend too much money, because it's one of those things where I don't think people take into consideration that you as a person, you're investing into the company just as much. And so there's a running joke of being a creative in that you kind of never know if you'll have a job, because most of the times marketing and communications and stuff, like, your teams are usually the first to go. So I was like, all right, I need a little bit. At this point, I had lost weight. Like I said, at my heaviest, I was like maybe 198, 199. So in a season of my life where I had so much going on, so much changing, I also had lost weight. And I needed to go shopping. And usually I'll go on this whole pedantic rant about how I hate that if I want to go shopping, I have to go to specific companies, and it's not a lot of this, it's not a lot of that. I talk about the pipeline and are they eco-friendly, this and that. And then, oh, this is going to be a good, I can feel where it's going. This is going to be a good conversation. One of the things that I noticed is that even when I try to have conversation with colleagues, and this has happened to me at multiple places, they'll be like, oh, where'd you work? What you used to do? And I'll start telling them, and they start getting snippy with me, like, over time. And then they size me up. What are you wearing? What do you look like? What does your husband do? So I got to the point where sometimes I like wouldn't even wear my ring anymore, because a lot of people don't think that Black women should have nice things, and it trips them out. Like, it really blows their mind. Like, and that's why I love calling racist people out and bigots out, because I'm like, that's what you get, because you are so small-minded that you can't believe that they're intelligent people that have good taste, who can shop and look well and keep up conversation and probably even take the conversation further. And you just are here and you just assume that like you're the smartest in the room, you're the most well-traveled, you're the best dressed, etc. And I'm like, okay, fine. So I try my best to, adhere to the employee workbook, make sure I don't seem too intimidating. And most people will say, well, that's how you know the environment isn't the right one. I'm like, but you have no idea the type of environments I've worked in. And it's like, no matter where you go, like, it's still the same thing that happens, right? Like, I have experienced bullying and mobbing at most of the places I've worked at. So, again, I make the most of my life. I enjoy my life. I love my life. I love my family. And I pivot where and how I need to. And I just, intend for better outcomes in the future where I don't have to keep explaining why I haven't been in a job long or this, and that, because it's never my work, right? Most people will be like, again, I just got a great performance review. My work speaks for itself, et cetera, et cetera. And it's just like, I'm so tired of dealing with other people's insecurities and having to shoulder that shit, where it's like, all right, cool, well, while I am applying, there's a whole ton of activities and things that I do just as a human being, and I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to use my YouTube platforms to talk about it. I'm not going to keep living in fear that I'm going to get run out of the next place that I want to work. So there's like this aspect of sure-footedness that I have attained, because that's the nature of how project management is, right? It's either done or it's not. So I try not to, like I said in the video I did on Sunday, I try not to bring so much of business home, because this is the place where we actually get to decompress and be in quiet and peace from the world that is so cruel and unkind to us. And as best as I can, I do not invite that type of energy into my home. So, with that being said, again, if I don't know that I'm gonna be at some place for a while and they have a particular dress code, I buy cheap stuff to wear. I still make sure that it adheres to the dress code, but so for instance, a place that I worked before, like, we had to have a uniform, meaning they provided company issued tops. I got my bottoms from Old Navy, my uniform bottoms, and those chinos, they are so good that, like, if I'm doing stuff around the house or even outside of the house on a Saturday, I'll throw them blickies on. And I was like, oh, these are a solid pair of pants. And I thought about buying some new ones, and I was like, no, remember you said you were not going to be wearing pants in the season of your life. So grateful that you found a good, solid, well-made pant, but you said you were done wearing pants. So even, again, stuff like that, I try to hold myself to it, right? So like, but my gym shorts, my gym pants, I do have some sweatpants. And then also like some leisure wear pants that are so cute that like a few of the women in my family also got them. So I'm like, I try my best to share what I know, what I find, cute finds that I find. But then there's also some stuff that I want to keep for myself. Because sometimes I wow myself. I'm like, oh my God, that's so cute, right? So, yeah, I have dresses for multiple occasions. I have my little jackets. And I have style. And what I'm trying to do now, again, is, or what I've been trying to do with my wellness was like, don't rely on the same few restaurants that you go to. Like, try to learn different recipes that aren't so meat intensive. And so I've been working with lentils a bit more. And they're such a versatile protein. And I've been having fun with them. So I found a couple other recipes. For now, like I've just been adding them to bowls that I've had, that I've found a couple of recipes where I can make them into patties, mixing them with herbs and, you know, making lentil balls. I'm very familiar with chickpeas and love falafel, but I haven't made that at home. So again, just kind of looking at some of the alternatives of like, sometimes I'll have dairy, sometimes I won't. But looking at yogurt sauces, all those things, I'm like, I want to be a great chef, but do so where I can mix herbs, mushrooms, and even eventually get to a place where I can add my tinctures to it, right? I know there's some people who are like raw vegan. I can eat some of those things, but I'm not interested in like a raw vegan, like permanent lifestyle. I think it's nice to be able to try and to have a diverse enough palate where you can enjoy those meals. But again, when I start talking to more and more people, I realize that everybody's body is so different. Like what works for one person may not work for another, and that's okay. And so you have to be the expert on what works for your body. And the only way for you to know that is by, again, seeing what works for your body. So experimenting more. So I'll tell you, last night I made some egg fried rice. So I did use some of the Master Blend mushroom. I added that to some roasted sesame oil. I had some days old rice, so I added that to it. Some green onions, an egg, and then it was something else. I used a couple of spices, including like a Korean pepper spice, and I mixed it up. Oh, and some okra and some peas. And again, I didn't know what it was going to taste like, but I was like, I gotta eat something. And again, just trying to figure out, you have all this stuff. How can you expand your palate? How can you try new things? I'm reading books, I'm looking at recipes. Just again, trying to stay inspired, because these are all raw ingredients and you have to come up with different ways to eat them, right? It was food, it was sustenance, right? And I joke and I say that a lot about food, because I'm like, I don't need to repeat it. It served its purpose. I did not go to bed hungry, right? I used to write down recipes a little bit more often, but like I said, right now, I'm doing a little bit of freestyle of use what you have in here. So that way, again, you get better at more and more meal types. And that way you're not rushed to just eat convenience food because you're so hungry when you're out, right? So that way when you go out to eat, like it's because you really want to eat at that place. I bought some ingredients so that I can make macaroni and cheese at the ready. But even with that, like, that's not something that no one should eat all the time. So that's a situation where I would probably cook them in these little ramekin dishes so that it's a small controlled portion, because portion control is also important. And yeah, just really learning to have fun with all the things that you can do in the kitchen. I made some plans to make some cinnamon roll bites because I found a quick and easy recipe online that I'm looking forward to trying. But again, even with that, I'm like, hold yourself. I did finish out the second roll of cookies that I made from scratch, but I had help on that batch. But yeah, I'm like, there's no reason to not utilize my time to bake, cook, because I still need to eat. And again, I have all this stuff in here. I can try, like, we have a couple of good pieces of steak in the freezer. Like I said, we've perfected how to make a steak. So when we actually go to a steakhouse, it's us going to like Ruth's Chris because we have food at home. Let's see. Almost done with the garlic. And this is, like I said, this is so helpful because this lasts a while. I've done it with cabbage. I said I bought some onions. I usually will try to freeze some of the onions that I chop up because, again, even learning how to chop onions, you start to have fun with it, and I enjoy it. I think the biggest thing I've been trying to get away from is falling asleep after I eat. I notice a difference even in that with the foods that I eat. So again, I try to move some after food, do my little crunches and also squats, and have my tea so that, again, I have no incentive to go to sleep. So my garlic is ready. I'm going to put it in the fridge. And then I have some ginger. I probably could do the ginger in a similar way, but haven't quite decided what I'm going to do with that ginger yet. Because I notice in some of the Asian inspired dishes that I'll make, like if I put just a little bit of ginger in it, it really adds depth and flavor to it. But on the other side, I can also do sweet and savory things. I love ginger snap cookies. I'm not sure that I have enough ginger to make ginger snap cookies, but again, there's a balance. I think that's it for this Wellness Wednesday. I have a couple of heads of cabbage. Cabbage is so diverse. I could probably even make my own fermented cabbage, and I probably will. But I always get a little, if I'm being honest, I always get a little scared about botulism when I do things on my own, and so I feel a little bit more comfortable buying prepackaged food. So at least there's like this veil of safety that I bought it from a company. They did it right, but we'll see. I usually will just slice it up real fine, put it in a couple of dishes. It's just so versatile. I love keeping different rices and noodles on hand because, again, especially in the winter time, aside from having like a Japanese purple yam, a sweet potato, and a red potato, I have radishes in the freezer. I've worked with turnips a time before, but I didn't get them this time. So again, just want to use out some of the stuff that I have. So I'll close it here. Hope you have a good day.